I'm David Reed, and this is The Engine Room. Hello, and welcome to another Engine Room. We have a special guest today, Alexis Garcia. Welcome, Alexis.
Thanks, David, and thanks for saying special. That's good.
Yeah, very special. Only Clay got the weird. I think I said I had an okay guest. Yeah, no, I think it's great to have you on here. Tell us a bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Bogota, Colombia.
Really?
Yeah, the city 2,600 meters above sea level,
Really?
closer to the stars, and capital of Colombia, and that's where I lived pretty much all my childhood.
Yeah.
Raised in a medium-class family, living in a 80 square meter apartment.
Really?
Within the city.
Busy city? Is it
Busy, extremely
very
busy
packed
city.
with people?
Packed with people, a lot of density, and I had the opportunity to go back there in 2021, and I realized that there's more cars, more bicycles, more people on the road. It's less roads, and still packed, but still got some magic to it.
Yeah, so that's your intense urban where you grew up, right?
Yes.
Is that what you're describing? Yeah.
Yes, intense urban. Went to a Catholic school for primary and secondary. The traditional, priests from the U.S., Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, based in a San Viator school, both primary and secondary. And I was, playing sports, but not soccer. I didn't like soccer when I grew up. No.
That's the problem with the Colombian team. If you'd have chosen to do that.
Wow, one thing to write down, right? But I was leaning more towards sports, like racket sports.
Really? Tennis,
table tennis, mostly table tennis.
Table tennis. Now that's the British term. What do they call it here? Ping pong?
Well, table tennis is ping pong at 100 miles an hour.
I grew up, it was table tennis, but then I came to the States and they're all like ping pong. And I'm like, okay.
I started at a really young age playing, training here and there.
So serious.
I used to be a competitive table tennis player.
Really? That stuff is crazy. That is extremely fast.
Yeah, extremely fast. And I used to be, competing in different tournaments. I used to play in U.S. Open table tennis tournaments, championships. Yeah.
So you got to travel with it?
I got to travel with it, yeah. I got to travel.
And that was at what age?
I started probably when I was 14.
Yeah, okay.
And then I played maybe about for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Even when I went to Brazil, I played in a local team in Brazil, and we got to play there. It was a lot of fun.
So you still play a bit?
No, I kind of left it maybe about 6 years ago, but I displaced it for cycling. I like cycling a lot, so. Wow. But I'm gonna take table tennis back again.
You should, yeah.
Yeah.
So so pre-14 years old, was it associated with school then, or?
Yeah, with school. My dad was a university professor. He's retired now.
Oh, really? What did he teach?
He taught geography and hydrology for the civil engineering students.
Wow.
And he used to be teaching in 3 different universities.
Really?
And then he came to the U.S. in 84.
Okay.
And he put me in high school, right there in high school, and that's where I picked up my English. I had to.
Oh, you were just in the deep end? You didn't already speak?
No. I had just the basics. And, in that time when you're exposed to the need of speaking it, you have to force yourself, and I learned it pretty quickly. At that age, you learn pretty quick.
Okay, yeah.
And
what an experience!
Yeah, it was a great experience.
So he moved to teach here.
He moved to Ohio University in Athens, small city, small town, university town.
Very different.
Very different, and that kind of got to open my eyes to see different things in the world and get to meet different people, and that's where I started playing table tennis.
Oh, okay. So you came to the States.
Yeah.
Because more high school and school pressure to do some kind of sports.
Right.
I would have said than most places around the world.
Right, and then I got to meet a lot of people, and then I came back to Colombia with a different view, and wanting to do different stuff, and.
So how long were you in Ohio?
Not that long. I was just for 6 months only. Well, I picked up my English, and my dad finished his contract in the university, came back to Colombia, and just retouched with the normal activities.
Very interesting. So what did you think when that you're in an intense urban Spanish speaking environment?
yeah, I kind
And
of
suddenly you're moved. Were you excited? Was
I
that
was
you knew much about the States
I
at the
was
time?
not that much,
Yeah.
not that much.
Yeah.
So you know, I remember the next day we arrived in Athens. It started snowing heavily. It's like
Yeah. That's not what you were expecting.
for a country like Colombia, you don't have snow, or but
Yeah.
so you see that for the first time, and it kind of opens your eyes, and it's something new.
Yeah.
Language, the people, the setting, everything is new. So you kind of open your eyes at an early stage in your life, and
Yeah.
makes you think about different stuff.
Wow. You were excited?
I was very excited.
Okay.
And when I came back, I always wanted to be a doctor.
Right, okay.
Because both families, from my mom and dad, they were inclined to medicine
The
and
medical field.
and the health industry.
Yeah.
So I applied for medicine in the National University in
Really?
Colombia. But then I was thinking, I could probably do something else, in the energy or engineering world by the time.
So what? Okay. So how did you get to that? You're like medicine. I see family. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah,
You apply, and then what does that change?
My uncle said he used to be an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And he said, you graduate from medicine, then you have a job. So that's, pretty fixed. So I was like, it's all good.
But it was,
and I
it was
like
too
it.
tight of a path.
It was too tight of a path. And I was thinking, maybe I could, when we were in high school, they gave us the portfolio of careers that you could study, which was not that thick.
Yeah.
But you had some options.
Here's the 5 careers you could choose.
You had some options, and I was really inclined to petroleum engineering, which I ended up studying.
Why was that?
It had the fame to be a really tough career,
Yeah.
challenging career, but at the same time glamorous.
Glamorous. That was the thing.
That was the thing. So I was
Big fan of glamour back then.
so
Petroleum engineering, glamorous. So
and I was fortunate enough, to
glamorous because let's so people can understand it.
well.
World traveling, is that the
World
thing?
traveling, get to see a lot of cultures, a lot of people.
Okay, so it was that side that was like it's an international business that
that's exactly
causes
right.
you to move around.
And that was the magnet.
And probably your Ohio experience was like, I like this, other things.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And when I was in high school, I got a colleague, a friend, that his dad used to work with a big company.
Yeah.
And I went to study in his house.
Yeah.
And I saw these drill bits in his backyard. And I was like,
no way.
I was like, wow, what?
You saw, and suddenly you were like, there's hearts around it. And
that's exactly
like,
right.
What is this
It kind of clicked. It kind of clicked.
Really?
Yeah. And
he had drill bits in his backyard, as you do. Do you have some now in your backyard?
I used to have one, but my wife wouldn't let me have it. Not in the backyard, not anywhere in the house.
No drill bits in the house.
No.
Man, I did try to talk to my wife about, what if we had a drilling rig in the back?
That would be cool, right?
I thought so at the time. Now I'm like, okay.
Maybe a triple rig would be.
I was way overexcited, but yeah, I understand that. I think my dad wanted pigs in the backyard. Like he was all farm, so he was like, my mother was having none of it. But
did you have any cows or anything?
No. My mother doesn't like animals. My dad was all animals. So yeah, so 2 siblings and farms. But yeah, I understand that. So
yeah, and the funny part was that when I joined Reed in '96 in Colombia, the father of my classmate was my mentor in Reed.
Really?
That's coincidence in life.
Drill bit in the back garden.
Drill bit in the back garden, and then I get to meet this guy, and
So drill bits in the back garden. What were they? Do you remember?
They were rotor cone bits.
What have
They were insert bits and tooth bits in bigger sizes, 12 and quarter. He had a lot of 12 and quarter. He had like probably 25 bits in his backyard.
Why did he have them? Was it like he just loved it so much he liked to tell the stories?
He used to be the manager of one of our competitors, and I guess he had access to scrap bits or something, and he painted them. Yeah. He made them paint, and
so it was art to him.
It was art to him. Art to him.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. So would you go? So when you first saw them, you're like, "What is this?" Did you ask? Did he tell you stories?
What is this?
Then?
He told me stories about that. That's Alejandro. It's my friend, and he says, "Yeah, my dad works with a drill bit company," and then that's our. I started thinking this would be a really interesting world to get in.
Was he like, "Let's play drilling"? That's my favorite game.
No, then we just studied calculus and and algebra and
Really?
chemistry,
So,
and then
so you had that reference where you'd seen it.
right.
You saw an excitement and maybe a passion to something.
Yeah, it was a
someone
passion.
was passionate.
Then when I started in university, my drilling engineering professor, he had like this drill bit kit, like necklace. I was like,
It can get weird. It can get weird. I'm just saying, drill
cool
bit
guy.
people.
Drill bit people,
It
right?
can get weird. Like I didn't start with drill bit people, so when I met them and the severe focus on the drill bit, it's really interesting.
The magic about drill bits is that it makes you see the whole drilling phase from old BHAs and even drilling rigs, pumps, hydraulics.
Okay, and I'll explain it to other people, but to drill bit people, they're the rock star at the microphone. The band is there, the roadies are all there, but where I will say the rubber meets the road, but where the PDC meets the rock.
Where the PDC meets the rock,
The
you have to
thing
know.
the thing that is happening is you. It's all there as supporting cast for you to do your work when you're the drill bit, which not everyone understands. I know it's normal to you, but to other people looking on, they're like, drill bit people, like they're really into it.
Yeah, you have to know your rock.
Yeah.
You have to know the rock you're drilling. You have to know the parameters, your rig, your BHA.
So much. Everything behind you.
Everything.
Is there to make you perform.
Everything. So that's what makes whole.
It's really wild. It's over now. So I think when Reed Heikelog came on was when I knew drill bit people, we talked, but it wasn't until Reed Heikelog was in the house that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is an intense environment. Like
very intense, very competitive.
Very technical.
Technical, competitive, dynamic. Yeah.
So you go petroleum engineering. Are you already in the back of your mind kind of drill bits? I really like drill bits.
I like drilling when I started with my career.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would end up in drill bits, but I was fortunate.
Okay, so you weren't thinking that. You were
No.
just thinking petroleum engineering,
Right.
great career.
Right.
Your friend's dad had seen the world, I guess. I don't know.
Right. He's seen the world. He's been traveling. They've been transferred several times in their careers, just like typical oil and gas
So they had stories of other countries.
stories and getting to meet people and see cultures. And that always fascinated me is how to get to see other cultures and other people and connect with them.
Yeah.
And being able to connect with them and talk to them and see what they feel, what they think, and then get to work with them.
Yeah,
That always fascinated me.
I think if you're curious about culture,
Yeah.
that's the wonderful part of our business is
Yeah.
you get to see it all.
Yeah. And this has been great because it's giving me that opportunity.
Yeah. So college, you go through petroleum engineering. What did you love inside of that subject? What was the stuff that you maybe excelled at? Or
Even though my thesis was in reservoir
which it would
engineering.
be. I mean, it's kind of the leaning of petroleum engineering.
But I've always leaned to drilling, and I started working in the field. It's pretty much where you start learning about all the intricacies and all the guts about drilling, and that's
There's more action. Than watching fluids and gases moving in rocks.
And a lot of knowledge in the field. That's where you get your knowledge from, and being able to, roll up your sleeves and get greasy and get to know the guys and.
Less theory, more practical.
Practical, and then I did that for a couple of years in the field, and I went to the office and started.
Okay, so you jumped. So you finished college.
And
were you in Bogota?
I was in Bogota, and before I graduated, I got an offer from Smith International, which is right now part of SLB.
I know, but back then they were really good.
Yeah.
I'm not cutting it, but I'm just joking. So sorry, SLB, if I hurt your feelings.
I started as a QA supervisor, even before graduating.
Really?
And
because what years would it be?
This was, I graduated in '94,
So
and I
kind of picking up
in late '94, and I started working in May.
Yeah, they were still on that slow climb.
Right. The challenge was to certify ISO 9002, the facility in Yopal, Colombia.
That was everything. I think I came in through QA. It was at that time 9001 and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and everyone had to do it.
Requirement from BP. They had 14 rigs running in Colombia. They had that requirement, and I had that task of certifying ISO 9002 in the Yopal facility.
It was post. I won't even mention post disaster in the North Sea.
Yes.
That got everyone on the quality side. Suddenly, the whole industry had to be qualified.
Right. It was a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then we achieved that in a record 9-month time.
So you did the facility.
The facility. We were certified in 9 months, and
That's pretty good.
yeah, and then
Means you were already doing things fairly okay.
yeah.
The ones that took years, it was like, you want me to do what?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I came back to the office and started working with the ops engineers in the drilling side, and that's where you learn the other side of planning, engineering,
Yeah.
all things related, and that gives you the other the facet of how do you plan a well. What equipment do you use to drill it successfully, and work with the drilling engineers, with your customers there? It's an honor, really, a privilege to be being able to work with them.
And this is in Bogota?
This is in Bogota, in BP facility. They had a big building. They were in the center of Bogota,
Okay.
and worked with BP engineers.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then Reed,
Then you're like, how did that happen?
So when I was with Smith,
did they steal from each other all the time? People, it's not stealing, but
always poaching.
Always
But
poaching.
I was in Smith, but I was not in the bid side. But I always wanted to get into the bid side, so I met a friend from Reed. He was the manager for Reed back in '96, and he said, "Yeah, let's come work with me." And I was like, "Okay." It was hard for me to leave that company, but never looked back. Looked back. I started working with.
You got your tattoo changed from Smith to Reed.
To Reed, and we were different companies. With Reed Tool Company was separate from Hyclog at the time.
That's right.
At the time,
Reed was the long. I mean, you had to read the whole process books and understand drilling.
Right.
And Reed was what you knew. Like I didn't know
Right.
Hyclog from the early books. It was one of the core brands.
Right.
Of drilling.
And then we merged with Hyclog in '99, right before Schlumberger acquired Camco Drilling Group at the time.
Yeah.
And then they made us just one Reed Hyclog group.
So did Reed have PDCs?
Yeah, I started with
with
PDCs before, yes.
Because
yes.
I think of Hyclog as
back
a
in the
PDC kind of leader. So
and then Hyclog, when we merged with Hyclog, they were back at the time they were much more advanced in the fixed cutter side.
Yeah.
Then we merged, and it was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seemed like the North Sea was really kind of a leader.
Yes.
And they were UK based, right?
Yes, UK based. Yeah. And it was a 50th year anniversary on the PDC, so it was a big celebration that took place, still taking place, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. So, into Reed, still Bogota. Start traveling, or is it jobs other places?
And a few years. Being in Bogota, I got transferred to Argentina in Neuquén.
Oh, nice.
Under SLB.
I mean,
it was good. It was a great experience.
Argentina's a lovely place.
It's a lovely place. It was great.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. And then went to Bolivia and Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And then went to Brazil. Learned Portuguese there.
New language.
New language. Started.
Did you learn Portuguese?
I learned Portuguese, and I was fluent in Portuguese. It's closer. For Spanish-speaking population, it's much more difficult to understand Portuguese than vice versa, and I don't know why.
Really?
But I learned and I picked it up. I took classes every day in the morning on how to write it, how to speak it, and I was fluent, and I was writing it in such a way that I was able to correct even some of the people who were writing emails back and forth.
Wow, okay.
I always had the mindset for opening.
That's that curiosity thing as well. You're just interested in a culture.
Yes. Used to be fluent. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. So not so fluent
now. But my neighbor is from Brazil, so I get to
back trying.
I get to speak a little bit and kind of get the rust out. But it's
get them to cook some picanha for you.
Picanha, feijoada. Oh, in Brazil they have really good food.
Yeah, I mean that is Argentina too. I mean
Argentina,
just fantastic.
Argentina
foods.
for the meat, Brazil for the meat. Oh, it's great.
Very good. Were you in Macaé or where were you?
In Macaé.
Okay.
I was there for 2 years, and then I got transferred to the U.S. In Houston.
Houston. Where's that?
Houston, yeah. I was like, Houston, that's great.
Yeah.
And we inherited it once we detached from Schlumberger. We needed a knowledge management system called InTouch, but then we rebaptized it to Insight for knowledge management.
And
I
you
did
were
that.
working in that space?
I was working in that space.
That's an interesting Schlumberger culture thing.
Right, right.
Well, help people understand what that was.
It was a knowledge repository where you could get to store your lessons learned, failures, things like that.
So every job is in there. Is that accurate?
Almost every job, but the job that you learn the most from,
Okay.
and if you have a failure, then you learn from that failure, and then you avoid replication in other areas, and that's where you use a knowledge management system for, is to be able to expand the knowledge, not make mistakes,
basically.
Learn, and
And how do people just dig in there and goes, there anything like what I'm dealing with, or I'm going to be drilling this kind of rock or formation?
Yeah.
Is that what people
pretty much
do?
like a database. This is the rock I'm drilling. These are the parameters. Has anybody run into this problem before? And then you get to learn from there, and then you get to apply
so
those.
how does it search by dysfunction, or how does that work?
It used to be, when we inherited it, within the Grand Prideco days, it was a Google search, basically.
okay.
You did that
You just
Google
looked up a
search,
word
and then it just throws different parameters and different results, and then you
And
go from there.
These are like technical papers, or are they
Everything between technical papers, documents, anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still there today?
Still there today, yeah. In Reed High Club, we have a data or knowledge repository today, and people use it, and it's great because it saves a lot of time, a lot of man hours, and you have to use it for, making sure you minimize iterations. In drill bit design, or and things like that. But it's really useful.
Very cool. What do you do today?
I look after geothermal for NOV.
Geothermal.
Yeah.
Drill bits or geothermal?
Everything.
Really?
Geothermal, everything for NOV.
Everything.
So both
That's
EPS and EE, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So let walk us through, what have we got in geothermal? Who does what?
Well, in EPS, there are 8 business units, and all 8 business units are pretty much something in a way for geothermal.
Really?
Even for low temperature, medium temperature, higher temperature. Of course, you start with High Club for, performance drilling in granite, on hot dry rocks.
Yeah.
We have...
So and this is something not everyone knows, but we've been very successful in drill bit design, because traditionally, geothermal low-cost environment,
right.
The kind of technology we had was not what they were looking for.
Right.
And that changed.
Right. One of the things that helped us really to maximize our exposure within the industry was Utah Forge, when we were able to increase ROP by 4 and double longevity of the drill bits just in 5 wells.
So the more expensive drill bit, of course, was justified.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely
and
justified.
Did everyone follow that? Did that become the norm, or where are we at?
It became the norm after that, because Ferv was drilling right there adjacent to Utah Forge, and they're using the same methods, the same PDC structures, the same designs or similar designs, but using the same approach. So it's being copied. Even in the Eastern Hemisphere, in Switzerland, we did that same type of work that we followed from Forge.
So and they shared their data with the world. So
it's public. We saved 23 days versus AFE.
Amazing.
In just one well.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Huge breakthrough.
It's great benchmark to go off of and keep learning. So
drill bits led, because I remember you talking to them.
Right.
And I'd never seen a customer that excited, like they were excited to talk to us.
Yeah.
And of the results just blew their minds.
Yeah.
So that was good. So what else is in the mix?
So we have downhole motors. We have
high temperature.
Posit-track tools. Yeah, they're rated for about 1 to 75 degrees C. So in medium enthalpies, I would say in closed loop designs where you don't. I mean, circulating temperature always goes less, right?
Okay. Yeah, you're lower coming in, and
So downhole motors are really robust ERT motors, and posit-track tools for torsional vibration mitigation.
Okay.
We have mud chillers from Well-Tight Services, Tundra Max.
Yeah.
We have tuboscope coatings.
Yes, that's new. Not tuboscope coatings traditionally would sit in pipe to protect the pipe.
Right. We have a TK340 TC, and it's now
it's a
thermal conductivity coating for internal diameter for the drill pipe,
cool.
and it's being evolved to Dracon coating right now. So it's an
just
enhanced.
So we can have a fancy animation.
It's an enhanced K factor, with more coating capabilities, and we have fiberglass, we have completion tools, which are, they have a really great suite of portfolio in Europe for district heating.
And so they were already there, and
they're
now
already
we're
there.
just spreading it.
They have a really good footprint in Europe, and it's the challenge of how do we leverage different business units to come and play in different
markets.
areas, so we can.
And so, for people listening, geothermal is uniquely closed in their Europe or in their, wherever they are around the world, Kenya, wherever they are, they have their own stuff that they do, but they don't necessarily all share or didn't.
Right.
Probably better now because of oil and gas and that nature of sharing across the world.
And that's an opportunity for migrating the oil and gas technologies to geothermal. And we have a really good potential for growing geothermal. Right now we have a capacity of 0.x joules in power and about 2.5 exajoules in heating and cooling. And the prospectus is from IGA is that in 10 years, the potential is to triple it. To be able to have 30 exajoules overall, like 25 exajoules for heating and cooling, and 5 exajoules for power.
So big growth.
Big growth, which would mean about 20,000 wells per year.
Amazing.
Geothermal.
Amazing.
We have to segment that market, of course, because for heating and cooling,
doing different jobs,
you do shallower drilling, right? But there are obstacles, right? Policy, is an obstacle.
Right. Anytime the government's
permitting,
either hyping or resisting.
Permitting is an obstacle. Investment, being able to, companies to get invested in geothermal. But if all planets align, the potential is that there's a lot of wells to be drilled.
And I think I've heard that people think it'll have that shale type, where you're really farming the energy out,
right,
with many wells,
right.
And some new technologies, which really the U.S. has been playing in, which is not the traditional geothermal. So when we look at range and temperature and location, how does that look? So the traditional geothermal, what kind of temperatures are you looking at, and where is that?
Yeah, traditional geothermal is about around 100 degrees C or so. Mostly for power production. It's interesting on the hotter side. So if you go to the higher enthalpies, say Utah Forge is about 220 degrees C. If you go further to 300, you could get the potential for productivity from 5 to 10 times more than a traditional well.
Okay, from a energy output.
From an energy output. Now, if you have to be really prepared,
difficult environment
for that, right? But of course, you have to drill in places where you have the conditions, right? And that's one of the big uncertainties in this market is you have to model subsurface conditions the best way you can to be able to access that hot, dry rock in an economical manner, and that's the challenge. And as an industry, I think that's where it's going to head to the opportunity to lower the costs. If we lower the cost in geothermal by 80% within the next 15 years, geothermal right now produces less than 1% or satisfies less than 1% of the energy demand. It could go up to 15% by 2050 if all costs are lowered.
But did you say 80% cost? Well, okay.
Reduction. Yeah, that's
just
a lot.
Do that everywhere. I mean, do that in any energy. So are there plans to do that? Does the mass production where they think they're going to get those costs out, or where's the cost targets? What things do they think they're going to get?
I think we're headed there. Technology really plays a key factor in there, and we as NOV, we can do a lot of stuff to make that solution to lower the cost for geothermal drilling.
Yeah, make
and
it
we're
fast,
headed there.
make it more efficient.
And we're headed there. And we have the rigs. We have the rig capability as well. We have VSR rigs. We have rigs for urban drilling as well. It's just a matter of us aligning and facing that market with a unified approach, and that will create even further waves in the geothermal market. But it's all aimed for lower cost through technology, paired with regulation and permitting, and that's what's going to make the trick.
Well, and I think what happened in shale, lots of lower cost work happened, but that didn't mean that tools weren't needed and technology wasn't needed. It meant they were specifically needed to try and make things more efficient. Yeah.
Horizontal drilling and fracking. That's pretty much what made
Stuff we
the
know.
revolution. Stuff
They
we know.
don't call it fracking, right? They call it stimulating or something.
Soft
so that it
hydraulic stimulation.
they don't want to alert people.
No,
so.
they don't. But in EGS systems,
Yeah.
you
Okay,
have
EGS
to
means what?
enhance geothermal systems. It's basically drilling a doublet or a pair of wells that talk to each other via.
So they transfer through.
So you create that
Pump in one
permeability
and-
artificially.
Okay.
And then you inject water
On
in
one side and
brine,
it
and
comes
then
back
you
the other.
extract steam on the producer well, and that's for electricity production. So if you expand that, and actually EGS has the potential to satisfy the data center power needs, by early 2030s.
Nice.
It's got the capability to satisfy 2/3 of the power needs for data centers if they're clustered.
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity as well for us
Very cool.
to play in.
Good. Well,
Exciting times.
that's the time up. So we got to learn a bit about you and a bit about geothermal, which was kind of cool. So if I would have said any questions on geothermal, give you a call if you want to get more involved.
McCall, always ready to connect people, connect ideas, facing the market needs with different products and services that NOV has. We have a lot of solutions for the industry, so we have answers, and what I'd like to do is being that channel to be able to talk to the customers and go with a unified solution and getting the technology costs down and
Very
pushing
cool.
geothermal even further. So thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, David.
See you next time.